Last month I did something I've never done before.
You slept with a lady.
No, I've done that.
Twice?
I went to the UK for the first time ever. For the first time ever. Now you might be asking, how could it have been the first time when you moved to London 8 years ago? London!
Well, I'm not gonna get into...
But thank you for watching my other videos. Visiting the UK was a dream since childhood, all thanks to
Doctor Who
and
say no more, say no more.
Monty Python. I know there's more to the UK than those things, I guess.
I grew up in Europe, where the history comes from.
And it was a dream for my wife as well, and ever since we were married, we've been determined to go there. And when 2020 rolled around, we knew this is the year we're going, and we all know how that panned out.
Oh no, we'll never get to England now.
And that wasn't the first time I failed to go to the UK. There was a few other attempts.
Here you go. Nothing.
I was starting to think that maybe I was cursed, so even when my wife said, we are going this year, she bought the ticket, she made all the plans, and I'm sitting over here saying, I'll believe it when I see it. I kind of wasn't allowing myself to get excited. Even when we were on the plane, looked up our flight, and of course, it was a Boeing. We might still crash, but you know, I kept these thoughts to myself. I'm not that terrible a travel companion. But then, suddenly,
Great Britain. We're actually in Great Britain.
We'll never get to England now.
we were there. We were at Heathrow Airport, which of course is the setting for a terrible Doctor Who episode called Time Flight, which I love.
That's Heathrow Airport.
You're right.
And that was just the beginning. If you're excited by the airport, you know it's gonna be good. Well, the first day we were very tired and jet lagged. My biggest priority was seeing what was on TV, what brought me there in the first place.
Welcome to Pointless Celebrities.
But after flipping around a few minutes, it became clear they export their best stuff, and the rest they hide from the world. Which is fine, you know, I wasn't there specifically to watch TV. And it was cold, so the first stop was a gift shop where I bought the worst scarf. And yes, I have a mustache in these photos. I'm not going to explain myself to you. Now, I didn't take a lot of video while I was there, just a lot of pictures, because I was there to enjoy myself, not to make content. I know, it's a terrible habit and one that I'm working to correct. If it had been up to me, I could have spent the entire trip visiting Doctor Who locations. That would just be unfair to my wife, though fortunately, some of the most iconic Doctor Who locations just happen to be tourist attractions like Westminster Bridge, St. Paul's Cathedral, so that was thrilling. Then we went to Buckingham Palace. We did, the changing of the guard, checklist, things you do. We did that. I don't want to be a tourist. Why? You're a tourist. You want to bother the locals in their spaces? I mean, come on. Unless it's Abbey Road, in which case hold up as much traffic as you want for one photo. Had to do it. I constantly had that warm feeling where every sight and sound just touched something deep within me. I'm embarrassed to say just how many things reminded me of Python sketches.
Why don't you try W.H. Smith's?
Businesses, street names, so many synapses firing off. We went to the portrait gallery, which was a lot of fun. We took a tour of the Globe Theatre, and we saw the site of the original Globe Theatre. That's where you can't even believe that you're walking in this space. Next day, we saw Tower of London, crown jewels, suits of armor, dragons. We had fish and chips from a stand. Gotta do that. I went to the Doctor Who store. Of course I did. We saw Les Mis on the West End. We're both Les Mis heads. I first saw it when I was 10.
Master of the house, doling out the charm.
Still spectacular. It's a little weird without the revolving stage. We took a bus tour to Stonehenge and Bath. I was obsessed with Stonehenge when I was a kid. I built this scale model, inspired once again by one of my favorite Doctor Who stories, Stones of Blood, which is not about Stonehenge, but for years and years I've been told you can't get close to the stones. Everyone downplays Stonehenge. Some people even said, don't bother. So my expectations were low. You can get much closer than I ever imagined. I mean, I don't know. This is pretty damn close. And it's incredible. And yeah, you can't be close to it from every angle. Shame on everyone who ever tried to diminish the experience. I don't know what people expect.
They're just stones, aren't they?
Just stones? Yes, they're just stone.
The stones did not move. So there is that. And then we went to Bath, which I knew nothing about. I'm from Maine, and of course there is a Bath, Maine.
Just north of Bath.
It never even occurred to me that the original Bath is named that because of Roman Bath.
What have the Romans ever done for us?
I'm just accustomed to towns being arbitrarily named after English towns. So for a town to have a purpose behind its name is kind of new to me. Bath is beautiful. Of course, that's where Jane Austen lived for a time, and she wrote about it. We went to the Jane Austen Center. And while we were there, we went to a nice pub, and we had fish and chips again. That was a mistake. I also tried a Cornish pasty, which delicious, but that combined with more fish and chips, a bigger mistake. So the next day we left London and we took the train to Edinburgh. I didn't know much about Edinburgh other than famous comedy festival, but as soon as we were there, it was so tranquil. And we're walking down Princes Street. It was only later that I realized that this was the opening scene to Trainspotting. We saw Edinburgh Castle, you know, the crown jewels, Mary Queen of Scots, who...
You are Mary Queen of Scots?
I am.
Another Python reference. We walked the Royal Mile. I bought scotch. Yes, I did try haggis. It was delicious. I wish I had had more, but my stomach had already received a little bit of a pummeling from all the greasy food. We took a bus tour across the Highlands and to Loch Ness. Loch Ness is beautiful, and hey, if you need a monster legend to bring people to this lake, fair game. And we saw the monster. This is actual footage of me spotting the monster just out of frame.
Over there. Oh, you missed it.
Back on the bus, we rode through the Highlands. Every bit as amazing, every bit as... The Highlands were so amazing, I couldn't articulate it. My brain shut down on camera, just trying to recall the experience. Of course, coming from New York, the air, I'd forgotten air could be that fresh. We rode through Glencoe, which of course is MacDonald country, and of course it's where they filmed parts of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which was a lovely surprise. There's a lot of accidental visiting of film locations. I have to say, you know, when I'm riding in cars or buses, I do tend to have motion sickness, so I was a little worried about all of the bus tours that we took, but I was fine on both of them. And I'm trying to figure out why that was. I know a lot of those roads were built by the Romans.
I mean, obviously the roads. I mean, the roads go without saying.
I am not pro-imperialism. I'm just saying the roads were nice. Back in London, we had afternoon tea at Kensington Palace. Perfect end to a perfect trip. And the next day, with a heavy heart, we returned to New York. I used to feel this way about New York. In conclusion, if you have the opportunity to visit the UK and you're not cursed, as I was, I recommend going there. And if you already live there, that's really convenient. I recommend existing there. Should I just go down the list? Is this a travelogue? Am I Michael Palin over here? If I can be half as good as him, then man, I'll really have something. I love you, Michael.